We have a profoundly powerful gospel reading today. I have given you the power to tread upon serpents and scorpions, and rejoice because your names are written in heaven. So really what it comes down to is, this reading is about Christ versus the world. I know that's a bit dramatic, but thank you. No one laughed at the 8 o'clock to that. Sorry, I lost my place. Okay, so it's accurate. Christ versus the world. On the one hand, you have Christ and all of his allies, and on the other hand, you have the world. So we need to expand on both of those ideas for just a second. So when the Bible or ancient writers talks about the world in this context, it doesn't literally mean the planet Earth. Okay, it's not Christ versus the planet. Rather, the world is the summation of all that is bad and harmful, the big stuff and the little stuff alike. So when Jesus says, I have given you the power to tread upon serpents and scorpions, he wasn't telling the disciples to become pest exterminators. All right? We can all agree on that, but that's not what Jesus was talking about. These men did not start going out hunting snakes and bugs. They went out to proclaim the good news and to heal the sick. All right? They were resisting the world. They were resisting the big and little evils wherever they could be found. And largely those evils are sickness, sin, hopelessness, and fear. If you add all that together, then you get the world in the biblical sense of the word. And against all of that, you have the power of Christ in all its forms. All right, so those forms include, obviously, Jesus Christ himself for the 33 or so years that he walked this earth among us. It includes his disciples. It includes the apostles. It includes everyone in history who has truly devoted themselves to Christ's service. It includes the Holy Spirit, whenever he chooses to move within us. You know, have you ever had a friend who said just the right thing at just the right time to move you closer to God somehow? That is the power of Christ. And it's the power of Christ even if your friend isn't a nun or the Pope. The Holy Spirit can work with anyone. And I mean anyone. And finally, when we choose to act out of a sense of charity, goodness, truth, beauty, or mercy, we act with the power of Christ. And all of these things I've mentioned, all these forms of the power of Christ, from Christ himself to our own little actions in the day, they all have at least one thing in common. They all push back the evils and the wrongness that we encounter day by day. And really that's what the commissioning is about in the gospel today. Jesus is commissioning us to go out and push back against the evils of the world, and we are out as lambs among wolves. That's a great line, but there's a twist. And the twist is this. The problem is not getting caught by a wolf. The problem is turning into a wolf. That is the real danger. When the bad parts of the world turn you into something worse. I know that's a scary thought, but here's what we can take away from that. Like a wolf, the world, the collective summation of the evils of reality, the world will chew you up and spit out the pieces if you allow it to do so. If you use the gifts of the Holy Spirit, which are made available to you, which are made available to us all, the world will never conquer you for long. It might get a few good hits in, But the world cannot claim victory over you unless it converts you. And if it converts you, if there's more wolf than lamb inside, even then, your place at Christ's side with the rest of his allies is there waiting for you. We only belong to the world as long as we allow ourselves to be so. Okay? The world cannot own us. The world can only trick us into thinking that it owns us. So even if you fall for it for a little while, you absolutely have the power to return to that place where you truly belong, at Christ's side. So rejoice. Rejoice because your names are written in heaven. The spark of divinity that is within each and every one of you guarantees that. Absolutely guarantees that. And because of that, you don't have to sweat the small stuff in life. You don't need to worry so much about your shortcomings and your failures. You don't need to live in dread for those times where life gets the better of you. And it will from time to time, but it doesn't really matter as much as we think it does, because your names are written in heaven. You belong to God. And no power or principality can ever take that away from you. So keep it close, keep it safe.